Hi everyone, you're welcome to this session. So in this session is going to be about logical function, lookup functions, and pivot tables. So basically we're going to be looking at some logical functions in Excel, then we're going to be looking at lookup functions, and then we're going to work with pivot table. So I'm going to share my screen now, and then we are going to start. All right. So from the first class, I had gone through the process of explaining what the row is. So this is a column. In Excel, these are called columns. So we have columns in alphabet and we have rows in numbers, and the intersect of rows and columns is what we refer to as cell. And we can see that in the naming here. So this is column G, row 2, and this is column H, row 6. You can see that here, H6. So wherever you are on Excel, you can easily see the column and the row where you are. So another basic thing I just wanted to help us understand is you can insert row or column. So you can right click on this, and if you click on insert, it will insert a new column. Also, you can insert a new row by clicking this. Notice it's where the cursor changes to and something like black. Also, when it changes here, that's when we're able to insert. So if it doesn't change, you won't be able to do what I just did. It will start giving you some issues. So ensure that it turns to this black icon or kind of cursor. Then you click, then right click, then click on insert. You get your new column, and same thing for rows. So you click on insert, then you can add new row. So that's about that. So for today, we're going to be looking at functions, right? So before we move on, I want to cement something, and that is, please, we have like dealt with all of these being variables. So these are variable names. So under this variable, we have things that vary. Things that vary. That's why we call it a variable. I think we have overflogged that. So under age, we have varying ages. So we have all of those. So I think I made a mistake here last time I worked on it. I didn't change some things after the last class. So I think I need to change some things on this data so that everything can be fine. So that's about that. So one thing I want to let us understand is for each variable, you have different kind of analysis you can do. So not all variables would take all kind of analysis, right? So not all variables will take the same kind of analysis. So that's the first thing I want to let us understand today. Please, I want you to pay attention to this. Not all variables will take the same kind of analysis. So let's take gender, for example. Under gender, people can be either male or female. The analysis I can do on that would be something around proportion of male, proportion of female. I won't be able to do something like sum. What am I going to sum? Well, it's possible if they are coded 0 and 1. But if they are not coded 0 and 1, I won't be able to do that. And even when they are coded 0 and 1, summing them does not really give us any sense. Proportion is what gives us a sense of what is happening there. Unlike when we have tenure or age, in these two, I can easily look for the average age or the average tenure or the average usage frequency. But when we get to categorical variables, either nominal or ordinal, you are unable to do some quantitative analysis. So what we do, yes, we can do quantitative analysis, but not all kind of quantitative analysis. So in statistics, we have, let me quickly take us through some things in statistics. So in statistics, we have what we call, coming, I think I need to pick. So we have descriptive statistics. I think I talked about descriptive statistics in the last class, where we're talking about um, different kind of things we do with statistics. So I talked about descriptive statistics, differential statistics, and all of those. So in descriptive statistics, we have quantitative descriptions and graphical descriptions. So under these, I would have something like graphs. I would have tables. Then I will have summaries. So the graph is well self-defined. Tables are self-defined. So under tables, that's where you look at frequency of a particular um, variable. So for male and female, so how many are males, how many are females? That's what table does. But in summary, you can have what we call measures of central tendencies. You can have measures of dispersion. You can have measures of precision. So there are some variables that under what they would only, or what you can only do is in tables. You can't go more than tables because their nature does not allow that. So for a variable like gender, gender will not allow you to do, so under central tendency, we have things like mean, median, mode. Under measure of dispersion, we have standard deviation range and the likes, and interquartile range. Measure of position, we have quartile, we have measure of dispersion can also be interquartile range, can also be dispersion. Measure of position, we have quartile, percentile, and all of those. So that's what summary gives you. But under tables, there are some variables that can only give you table. So tables are normal frequency distribution. So that's what we have. We have frequency distributions. Yeah, that's what we have in tables. So that's basically what's in tables. So although we can also have some other things and tables, but then for the start, we just take it as frequency distribution. So all of this can also be plotted on the graph, right? So, but for now, let's still focus our attention on frequency distribution. So there are some variables that will not be adequate, or does not make sense for us to say we want to look for central tendency with that. Variable like basically nominal and ordinal variables that are in levels. It doesn't really make sense for you to say you want to look for mean and median and mode, because it doesn't make sense. So that's just it. But for quantitative variables that make the ratio scale in level of measurement, we can call level of measurement ratio, or scale. Any variable that gets to that point, then we call them like you can actually make use of measure of central tendency, measure of dispersion, measure of position. So that's just what I want to talk about before we continue. So again, not all variables are like, it's not all statistics that are adequate for all variables, sufficient for all variables. There are some variables that would not be like let me say they are not their nature does not allow us to use some statistics on that. So that's what we're going to be looking at today, basically. So we're going to be looking at, okay, the kind of variable, what we can do with that variable, and going forward. So let's look at the variables we have on this sheet. So we have age. Under age is a quantitative variable, right? Age is a quantitative variable, and because of this, it means that age is not ordinal. It is interval, or it is ratio. We call levels of measurement. So if it is interval or ratio, then that means that we can actually do measure of total tendency, like sum, mean. Mean is also average. Mean can also do standard deviations and all of the central tendencies or all of the summary statistics. But look at gender. Gender is either male or female. It doesn't make sense to say you want to do mean of gender, because gender is even nominal, not ordinal. There is no order in gender. So basically, it's just table. So once you see variables like that, just know that, okay, you just look for frequency table and you just plot them like that. So you can plot bar charts, pie charts on them, or anything. But then just know that, oh, you stop at frequency table. That's just what I would say. Although in advanced analysis, you can do some things with them, but for beginning statistics, where you are going to be doing discrete statistics, for now, let's just take them as table. Then tenure. You can say tenure is quantitative in nature. It counts. So you can see talking about years. So that means that we can look at the mean, median, mode. Look at these, also quantitative, same thing, mean, median, mode. I think I cannot remove this from our data cleaning session. So mind you, all of this that we are doing is after you have cleaned your data. So if you have not cleaned your data, you cannot get to this point, right? So my data is not clean, so that's what I'm trying to ensure that I drop. Normally in advanced statistics, we don't drop them. So, but for now, we're just going to drop them just to see, have time to do some other things. So payment delays, the variable is also quantitative, so we won't be able to do, we'll be able to do mean, median, mode, but it does not make sense for you to do table because it will be messy. Although you can construct something called histogram where you now say, okay, between this and this, how many between this and this, but usually we don't do that. Just, report mean, median, mode, just to give us a summary of them. Max, mean, maximum number, minimum number, that's mean and max in Excel. So just give us all of those and we are good to go. Then the next thing is substitution type. If you look at substitution type, that's categorical in nature, it has levels. Just like we've said, anyone that has levels, doesn't really make sense for us to do some quantitative statistics like mean, median, mode. So just do your frequency table and you are good to go. Then contract length also is at that levels. So okay, we have one problematic point here. I didn't remove it, so I'm going to remove that also. Right click, then delete. Then we are good to go. So contract length is categorical in nature. That's annual, monthly, and quarterly. That's ordinal. Nominal, yeah, I'll take it as ordinal because normally, without even telling anybody, we know that, okay, monthly comes for quarterly and quarterly comes for yearly. Annual is also yearly. So that's that. So total spend, you can see that that's quantitative in nature. So we can do mean, median, mode, and all of those, mean and max. Last interaction is also quantitative in nature. And the last one is churn. So churn here means, does the customer stop coming or not? So it's yes or no, right? So 1 is yes, 0 is no. So it's not really quantitative. We have just coded it like that. So at some point, we're going to talk about survey data and how they code survey data. So sometimes what we want is we want the data to have numbers like this so that we can work with them instead of numbers like labels like this. So instead of having annual, monthly, and quarterly, I can say, okay, monthly will be 1, quarterly will be 2, and annually will be 3. So on this data set, we have 1, 2, 3. So that's what is happening with Sean. In Sean, 0 means the customer stop coming, and 1 means the customer is still patronizing our product. So that's just what is this. So during the next practice session, we're going to be looking at, so everybody would walk through their data set and tell us, okay, this is it, would summary statistics be adequate for this variable? Some statistics are going to be adequate for it. No. So what will be adequate? Yes. Okay. What are the measures? So the measures that we can do with summary statistics are, so like I said, the ones that does not make quantitative variables, the ones that are categorical, just do table. Frequency table is enough, and you are good to go. But for the ones that are quantitative, then what you then do, so let me put categorical here, categorical variables, they have levels. So categorical variables can be ordinal or nominal, just like we have done in the last, we have properly talked about in the last class. So that's about that. So you can easily say that, okay, sorry, I want to do something here. What do I want to do? Yeah, the wrap text. Yeah. So if it's categorical variables, just do table. But if it's quantitative, so you can do some statistics like mean, max, average, and standard deviation. Then what again? Can do mean, max, standard deviation, can do range. So these are the summary statistics that will give you a peek of what is happening in the data, and that's what we want to do. So that's what we want to do first today. So these are the functions that we have to use. So I think I did some of those in the last when we're working with data processing. So we also just want to look at it again. So for this, we're going to do equal to then minimum. So MIN is minimum. Then just like we said, we're going to look at from the variable the where the data spans. So it spans between the data spans between B6467 from B2 to B64367. So that's why what we are now telling Excel is that find the minimum number between B2 and B64367. So we can come here also. So in Excel, you can just copy function and paste. If you paste, what it will do is it will do the same minimum, but on another column. You can see that it has done the minimum. It's not talking about this again. So you can always copy and paste functions, copy and paste functions, copy and paste functions. So you can see that the minimum here is different from minimum here. Why? Because the minimum here is 0. If you look at from here to here, if you look at if you filter down, you can even easily see the smallest number. That's 0. That's the minimum. So if you look at payment delay also, 0, there's 0 there. So if you filter, you can see, okay, 0 is there. So you can see, notice that I'm not doing anything on categorical variables. I'm not touching them. I'm not touching them at all. Why? Because I know that I am not going to use them. So there's 0 here on total spend. Why is 0 there? Let me see. Hope it's not one I used for data imputation. Okay, I think it's one used for data imputation and data processing rather. All right. So you can see the minimum is 100 in total spend. So if I paste that function again, the formula again, you can see there, and this one is 0. So you can easily see that for all my category, for all my quantitative variable, I can easily look at that. So we can do the same thing for mean. So because it equals to average, so I'll write average, and I'll say from B2 to, so column is to, then B6 4 3 6 7. Then I'll close my bracket. So you can see that it has highlighted all of this. Oh, okay, to be 366 because I think I have removed row. That's the reason for that. So to be so 64366. So you can see that I now have my average. The same thing I can copy and paste. So if I paste here, you can see that it gives me nonsense because it's telling me that this is not a quantitative variable. That's what you get. Even for the first function, if we had pasted it there, it's going to give us a minimum. Okay, divide 0. It should have done the same thing. It should have done the same thing. I don't know why it's pasting that. Giving us results. So normally it ought not to give any because it doesn't make sense for us to look for A. I think it's the minimum is actually doing something beautiful. It's returning 0. But normally we won't want to it because it's a categorical variable. So I'm pasting now. You can see the average here is different. Average here is different. Average here is different. So that's just it. So other functions that everyone should practice on their own. So practice equals to range. Range also is another function that we can see. So range will give us the difference between the smallest number and the highest number. Okay, before I do the smallest number and the highest number, let me do max. So I'll do max. Max between B2 to B2, B6 for 366. You can see it highlighted this place from B2, so you can know, okay, it's doing what you wanted. So you can see this is max, that's mean. So range is the difference between the max and the and on the same data set. So range, if I do range, coming range there's no function for range. So what I'll just do is I'll just do maximum minus minimum. Then bam, I have my range. That's all. That's all. So we can do the same thing for everybody. So we have done average, we have done minimum, we have done maximum. So the other one I want us to do is sum. So we can also do sum. So total value between B2 and B6 for 366. And it's not compulsory you add all the data points. You might be interested in just data points. The same thing goes. So the same thing, just write your function, then type in your argument, which is where you want, where your data is from this place to this place. You are good to go. Another one is count. You can also do count. So count means the total number between B2, so count of the numbers that you have. B6 for 866. Same thing, it will give you the number of data points that you have between that range, and you are good to go. So that's about that. So that's for the summary statistics. So please kindly understand the difference between a categorical variable, a quantitative variable, and want to use it. So I know you'll be wondering, so how are we going to do the table for categorical variables? Yes, that's the next thing we want to talk about now. So before we move on, I'm going to delete what I've done here. So please kindly work on all of those on your data, or I will share this data also to the YouTube link so that you can all. So now the next thing I want to work on is pivot table. So for us to be able to adequately take all of these variables into consideration, we need a pivot table. So for us to do that, we need a pivot table. So what we need to do is we're going to press Ctrl A, Ctrl A. Then you go to Format as Table. Then you click on Format as Table. Like we have known that these guys are our variables. So we tell these guys that, okay, my table has header. So if your table does not have header, that means that this first one would also be taken as a data point. But if you don't want it to be taken as a data point, you click the table as header, then okay. So you now have, like, this has been formatted as a table. So the next thing you want to do is you're going to go to Insert. And go to Insert and click on Pivot Table. But before we go to Pivot Table, I want you to see something. Before we change this to a table, you will see that, notice here, there's nothing like table design. But as soon as we have table, look at this, we have table design. So now if you click on table design, you will see your table name. Table name. So you can change your table name to customer. You can change it to anything, because That table name is very important when you want to use pivot table. Very, very important. Very, very important. So you can change your table name here. So the next thing after that is click on insert, go to pivot table, then type your table name, customer. You can see. Then click on new worksheet and click on OK. What happens is you are able to analyze everything that is on this table using this pivot table. Pivot table allows you to be able to analyze every variable on that table. So, and this pivot table is what will help us, analyze all of those categorical variables that we had before. So what we just do is to just drag the variable to the row, drag it again to the value. That's all. Then you have something like count. So when you have count, don't worry. If you click on this arrow, you will see what we call value field setting. So if you go to value field setting, you can then change what you want to see on that table. So instead of count, I will go to show value as, and I will say, I don't want count. What I want is percentage of grand total. Then I'll click on OK. Oh, something is happening. Come in. Oh, something happened here. Oh, sorry. Count. This should be count. Sorry. Yeah. So okay, let me go back so that you won't be confused. So recall. So we have created the pivot table. So we are dragging gender to row, and we are dragging it to values. So what we add here is count. So I click on this arrow, then I go to value field setting, then don't change it from count, leave it at count. Then go to show value as. What I want is percentage of grand total. Then click on OK. So you can see I now have everything in percentage. So I can this icon here, increase decimal or decrease decimal, can help me decrease the decimal point so that I can have integer. So I can now say that 53% of our customers are female and 47% are male. Simple. So you can see how it goes. That's just it. That's how it goes. Very simple. So if I want to get the next table, if I want another table again, what I'll just say, I don't need to go and create another pivot table actually. So I'll just copy this and paste. So I copy this and paste. So I will remove this guy, the one I was using before. I will remove it from the field. So I can now use tenure. I drag tenure to row, drag tenure to values. Then the same thing happens. So you can see it's using sum. I don't want sum. What I want is, oh, tenure is not a quantitative variable, a categorical variable. The next categorical variable is substitution type. So I think that was the one that made the mistake. So let me remove tenure. We don't want tenure. So remove tenure. I'm going to remove tenure so that what we now have is, so what I want to check is substitution type. So I drag substitution type to rows, that substitution types to values. Then now I have counts. Then I can go to click on this arrow, go to value field settings, click on show value as, click on this, then percentage of grand total, then I click on OK. So I can easily decrease this and say, oh, 33% all true. So everyone is like equally distributed. So that's just how it is. During the practice session on Saturday, we're going to like take more time on this. So we're going to do more practice on this. So the next thing I want us to see is if function. If function. So if function allows us to do what we call logic. So I can say that. So let's assume that I say if for this talks about each customer. So I want that if a customer is female, if a customer is female, return yes. If a customer is female, return yes. So I'll just say logic female. That's what I will name that column. logic field. So I will say equal to, then I'll say if, I'll put it in brackets, and I will now go to that column where the variable is. So if this is equal to, so what I need is a string. So wherever we are referring to a string, we put it in quote and unquote. So for you to know that what you are doing is true, it will return, oh, okay, let me use this. Let me use a number. I think something is happening there. So let me use the number. So let me use when tenure is less than. So I'm going to cancel this. I think I'm going to see what happens. So I'm going to do logic tenure. Let me do tenure. So so what I want is if a customer has been with us for more than 25 months, send message to them. So send message to them. I'll say equal to this. So I will say if equal to if this cell, what's happening? Sorry, I think my Excel is trying to do what it's about not to do. Sorry, equal to if, then I'll put it in brackets. I'll go to that column where I want to like match on. If that column is, if that cell is less than, I say if it's less than 25, send message, 25. You can see that I have if logical test, value if true and value if false. So I will say comma, then because I want to type a string, I'll put it inside quote and unquote. I'll put inside quote and unquote. Then comma, that's if it is true, if it is less than 25. If it is not true, I will say do not send. Then I will close my bracket. Press. So you can see that when it is 25 or less than 25, 25 and above, I said if it is less than 25, send message. So from 25 and above, it will not send message. You can see when it is 29, it said send message. But when it is 36, do not send message. So that's how you create logic. And you can even create multiple logics. So we're going to talk about this on Saturday. So we have talked about pivot tables, how to analyze quantitative variables, and we have talked about logic functions. The last part I want to talk about is lookup. Lookup. So now, what does lookup do? Lookup helps you to pick some people and look up what they have. So let's assume that my line manager tells me that, okay, I should look at these guys, these customers. So these are these customers that, oh, he wants to know their subscription type. My line manager wants to know their subscription type. So, I can easily go here and just say, okay, where is number 7? And just say, oh, number 7, what's the subscription type? Basic. I'll write basic. But that's stressful. What if he gave me about 700 customers to look their subscription type? So this is not sustainable. It's not feasible in realistic terms. So what we need is something that is realistic. And how to do that is through the help of a lookup function. What does lookup do? So lookup just say, okay, equal to, so any function that you want to write, we start with lookup. So we're going to use VLOOKUP for now. We can have XLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP for today. Then we look at VLOOKUP. Then we now go to the table where the data is. Then click on, oh, I'm sorry, I think I missed a point. So just like we always start with every function, This is the value I want to look up, right? Then press comma. So you can see the lookup value. This is the value I want to look up. Like I want to match to that value. That's the value I want to get information for. Then I will go to the table. You can see the next value in this, the next parameter is table array. So I'll go to the table where the data is. I press Control A. So you can see that it has written customer ID. So what I want is more than customer ID. What I want is the O table. So I'm going to come in. Don't VLOOKUP. So what I want is the table itself. So I can write customer because the name of the table is customer. If you recall, we have named the table customer the other time. Customer. Then I press comma. So the next thing I want to put is the column where the information I need is. If you look at this data now, you find out that we have column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 40 columns. So what is the solution type? Solution type is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, no, 8. That's why I say column index, not the column itself. Column index number. So I'll put 8. Then if I put comma, the next thing I want to put is false. So false means that I need exact match. I need exact match. Don't give me what is not there. I press enter. You can see that it's giving me basic. So the next thing I do for all functions is just for me to drag. Then it gives me for every other person. Then we are good to go. So that's just how VLOOKUP works. So on Saturday, we're going to have the practice session. So please do this over and over and over again. And if you have any questions, you can always drop it on the group chat or on this YouTube link. Thank you very much for listening. So see you later. Bye.